Bonjour et merci de vous être inscrit à cette courte session. Oh. That's not what I had in mind. Aujourd'hui, nous allons examiner un risque projet en anglais, sans paraître négatif en réunion internationale. Today, I want to look at a very common situation in multinational project environments. At some point during a meeting, someone needs to raise a delivery risk, question a proposed timeline, or suggest that an approach may need to change. And very often, that message needs to be communicated in English. In many multinational working environments, professionals are expected to raise delivery risks, suggest changes, or question timelines at an early stage. In French, this may be done quite directly, without creating difficulty. However, in English-speaking corporate contexts, statements such as, "This will not work," "We need to change this," can sometimes be perceived as abrupt, even when they are factually correct. As a result, some professionals may hesitate to raise concerns in meetings or project discussions conducted in English. This is not necessarily a question of language level, but of how certain types of message are typically expressed in international professional environments. Dans ce type de situation, il ne s'agit pas seulement de trouver les mots justes, mais aussi d'introduire une contrainte sans remettre en cause l'avancement du projet. Here is a typical situation that may arise during a project meeting conducted in English. For example, a team member may need to indicate that an implementation deadline is unrealistic, that the client may not yet be ready, or that internal resources are limited. In practice, this means raising the possibility that the proposed timeline may create a delivery risk. These are operational concerns that need to be communicated clearly at an early stage. However, in an English medium discussion, some professionals may be unsure how to express this type of message without appearing negative or resistant to the project. As a result, concerns may be expressed indirectly or raised later in the process. In practice, this type of concern may be expressed quite directly. For example, "This will create delays. We cannot deliver by June." However, in many English-speaking professional environments, similar messages are often phrased in a more mitigated way, such as, "This might create delays at implementation stage. We may need to review the June deadline." This is not necessarily an attempt to be vague. Rather, This type of phrasing is commonly used to introduce risk, signal potential constraints, or propose adjustments without appearing to block progress. In many international project meetings, the objective is not necessarily to stop the discussion or reject an idea immediately. Very often, the goal is simply to signal that there may be a potential issue which the team should consider. For example, a very direct statement, such as "this will not work," can sometimes close the discussion very quickly. Instead, professionals may introduce the concern in a more exploratory way. For example, this might create delays at implementation stage. The issue is still clearly raised, but the discussion remains open and collaborative. This allows the team to examine the situation together, adjust the timeline if necessary, or clarify the constraints before the project moves forward. In practice, professionals working in international environments often rely on a small number of simple structures when they introduce a concern during a meeting. For example, someone might say, "It might be worth reviewing this timeline." This signals that there may be a delivery risk, while still inviting the team to look at the situation together. Another common formulation is, "We may need to clarify that with the client." This suggests that further confirmation is required before the project can move forward confidently. Finally, expressions such as "this could have an impact on the implementation phase" allow professionals to indicate a possible consequence without appearing negative or resistant to the project. These types of phrases make it easier to raise operational concerns while maintaining a constructive and collaborative tone in the discussion. These examples often use a similar grammatical structure. Dans les réunions conduites en anglais, ce type de message est souvent introduit de manière plus progressive. In English medium project discussions, these types of expressions often use conditional structures to introduce a possible risk or constraint. For example, "It might be worth reviewing this timeline." "We may need to clarify that with the client." These forms are commonly used to signal uncertainty, introduce potential impact, or indicate that further confirmation may be required. They allow operational issues, such as delivery risk or resource limitations, to be raised within an ongoing discussion without appearing to halt progress. Cela correspond à certaines pratiques de communication que l'on retrouve fréquemment dans les environnements de travail anglophones. What we have looked at today is just one specific situation, raising a concern in a project meeting. But the same principles apply across a wide range of professional interactions. Introducing a disagreement in a negotiation, asking for clarification without appearing to question a colleague's competence, proposing a change of direction without closing the discussion. In each case, the challenge is not the language itself. It's knowing how that language functions in a real professional interaction in real time. Ce que vous venez de voir représente une partie du travail que je fais avec des équipes en entreprise. J'accompagne des professionnels dans le cadre d'un programme structuré de 12 semaines, un groupe de 6 participants maximum, axé sur la communication en contexte international. Les réunions, les négociations, les échanges avec des clients ou partenaires anglophones. Si ce sujet vous intéresse pour vos équipes, je vous invite à me contacter directement ici sur LinkedIn pour convenir un appel de découverte. Pas de présentation commerciale, simplement un échange pour comprendre votre contexte. J'espère que cette session vous a été utile. Voilà pour aujourd'hui. À bientôt.